Hi friends, I'm John Laspina, your carnivore teacher. This is a carbohydrate knob that I created from Dr. Ken Berry's knob. Dr. Ken Berry put out a knob and he talked about adjusting the knob, and it's really that simple. When you adjust the food that you put in your body, it's like turning the carbohydrate knob, and you can lower the amount of carbohydrates you get. So I kind of adjusted this and put my own spin on it. And just think of a knob like a volume control knob, and notice where the dot is. It's at Carnivore. When I made this diagram about 2 years ago, I was a ketovore, which meant I ate beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fish, and eggs, cooking animal fat, but I also had coconut, I had avocados, I drank coffee. I took all that out a year and a half ago. I'm a carnivore now, so I'm actually down at zero there. Let's start all the way on the right-hand side. On the right-hand side is the junk food, fast food, pretty much standard world diet. 250 to 300 or more total grams of carbohydrates a day. Your body is in a constant toxic state of inflammation and oxidative stress. This is obesity right here. This is type 2 diabetes and disease ready to happen. If all you eat is junk food and fast food for many, many years, you will get sick. You just will, because it's not food. It's food-like products, and there's a lot of toxins and inflammation there. If you go down to 200 total grams, that's what that number is, 200 grams of carbohydrates, that's what I call the standard American diet. That's what we eat here in America. That's too much. Also, if that's all you eat all your life, you will get diseases. You'll get sick because it's not nutritious. It's full of inflammation and oxidative stress. So if you cut the carbs down a little bit to 150 grams to the Mediterranean diet, you're eating foods that are found in countries around the Mediterranean Sea, you are lowering your carbs a little bit, about 150. And that's healthier than the standard American diet or the junk food, fast food diet. If you turn your carbohydrate knob down a little bit more to paleo, the Paleolithic period in our history, the foods that were available at that time, you're eating about 120 total grams of carbohydrates a day. Way healthier than the standard American diet or fast food, junk food diet. Turn that carbohydrate knob down a little bit more, and you have the low carb diet. Low carb is between 0 and 100 total grams of carbohydrates. Healthy, not the best, but absolutely not the worst. Low carb. That means you probably took out a lot of grains. You did, and probably all the sugary foods, but you're still getting carbohydrates. If you would like to adjust your carbohydrate knob a little bit more to the lower carb diet, that's between 0 and 50 grams. And then you can go to what's called a ketogenic diet. Instead of diet, I call it a WOE, way of eating, because I don't like the word diet too much. So the ketogenic way of eating is between 0 and 20 total grams of carbohydrates. You do that by cutting out all ultra-processed food, sugars, grains, breads, pastas, all that stuff, Doritos, cereals, and you're getting some carbs from vegetables and some fruits. There's your 20 grams. Now, if you turn your carbohydrate knob a little bit more, you get to what I was doing for 3 years, ketovore. Ketovore is between carnivore and ketogenic, and that's between 0 and 10 total grams of carbohydrates. When I was doing ketovore, I had only animal products, beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fish, and eggs, but I also used coconut oil. I had a half of an avocado every day, and I drank coffee several times a day, and I had broccoli and asparagus with my meat at dinner. I did. And sometimes I had some nuts, some pili nuts and walnuts and pecans. And I kept my total carbohydrates at about 10 total grams. And then I decided, you know what? Let me turn that knob all the way down to 0 and see how my body reacts to carnivore. So I took out the coffee, took out the nuts and seeds, the avocado, the asparagus and the broccoli and the coconut, and I just ate beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fish, eggs. I cooked in butter, beef, tallow, bacon fat, chicken schmaltz, duck fat, and ghee. 0 carbohydrates. Maybe there's 1 or 2 grams in the eggs, right? That's it. And I've been doing that for a year and a half, And that is where my carbohydrate knob currently is. I am at 0. Where is your carbohydrate knob? Tell me in the comments. Tell me if you know. If you don't know what your number is, how do you know how many carbohydrates you're consuming? You can install on your phone an app. There are many types of apps. You just type in the food that you ate, and it tells you, it breaks down the macronutrients, how much protein, how much fat, how many carbs, and then at the end of the day you have a pie chart, and you can see your sliver of carbs and your amount of protein and your hopefully large amount of fat. You want to have a moderate amount of protein, high healthy fat, and a sliver of carbohydrates or no carbohydrates. You know your number because you track it. I don't have to track anymore. I tracked for years. Now I can look at food and I know what the carbohydrate count is. I think I have 2 carbs a day because I have about 3 eggs or 4 eggs. Maybe it's 2.5 carbs a day. When I eat my wild caught shrimp, I'm getting a few carbohydrates from the shrimp. And there's a minuscule amount of carbohydrates in the meat that I'm eating because there's glycogen in the muscle meat, but it's so small. It's so tiny. So I'm getting between 0 and 3 grams of total carbs a day. So is every carnivore out there, by the way. If you have dairy, you're getting more because of the lactose. I do add some cheese. I love goat cheese. I put a little bit of Parmesan cheese in my eggs sometimes. So yes, I'm getting a little bit more, but under 10 total grams, by the way, if I were to track it. Every once in a while, I pull that app out and I track a day or two to see where I really am. And sometimes I surprise myself. I'm like, oh, I'm eating too much cheese. Oh, my carb count's over 10. What the heck am I doing here? Oh, I had all that shrimp today. Or, oh, I ate so much of those cheese things. I have to stop. Stop with that much goat cheese. You don't realize how the carbs can creep in. It's okay if your body's fine with it. Where are you on your carbohydrate knob? If you are at 250, 200, 150, or 120, I talked about the junk food standard, Mediterranean paleo. I recommend that you turn your carbohydrate knob down to ketovore or carnivore for optimal health. If you like this content and this video, click the thumbs up, please. Share this with friends and family and on your social media. Just push that share button. It'll tell you where to send it. You pick and subscribe and become one of my subscribers if you're not already a subscriber. I really appreciate that. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something today. Leave me comments. I'll get back to you. Take care.